What's going on, people of the world, and welcome back to the channel. After seeing quite the positive response from my previous video, ranking every Spyro 2 level, I decided that I might as well keep the hype train chugging along. After all, I really enjoyed writing and editing my last video, so I'm stoked to cover yet another one of my all-time favorite video games on this godforsaken planet of ours. Naughty Dog's flawless transition to the PS2, Jak and Daxter, baby, here we go. I am nowhere close to being one of the first people to talk about the history of this game, its development, its story, etc. So I'm not going to spend any time in this video discussing what most of you probably already know about this game. I'm just here to rank all of the levels. I know Square-Eyed Jak, who I'm a big fan of, already did one of these videos except far more extensively and thoroughly, but I would like to think that I have my own spin on the format, and I'm fairly certain my analysis of the levels would be at the very least a fresh take. Before we get into it, just want to make a few things clear about how I will be ranking these levels. To start, I will not be including Sandover Village, Rock Village, or the Volcanic Crater in the ranking, because like I stated in my Spyro 2 review, while I love these locations, they aren't the same style of level, and it would honestly probably end up ranking last. The same could be said for Fire Canyon, Mountain Pass, and Lava 2. The ranking system in this video will essentially be the same as the Spyro 2 ranking, focusing on level design, in-level missions, and soundtrack. I won't discuss literally every aspect of every single level, but rather the set pieces and moments that I think are understandably more prevalent. Okay, I believe that I've covered just about everything I need to, so let's get this show on the road. And as far as my mic quality, I apologize if it's not really up to par. I am eventually going to buy something more worthy. But for now, you're going to have to deal with some subpar sound quality, and I apologize. Anyways, here we go. It always warms my heart to arrive at Geyser Rock after that admittedly arduous, unskippable cutscene.
We won't find any more of that dark gooey eco stuff, will we? Cause I'd hate to fall in again and turn into you.
Because now I finally get to go on one of my most beloved journeys. Now, this is a tutorial level, so obviously the difficulty here is non-existent. I never noticed until this playthrough that the music in this level is the same as the intro screen, making it obviously an iconic song. This level teaches you about collecting 7 scout flies in each level, using blue eco to run faster, activate Precursor technology, and attracting collectible items, and green eco is there to increase your health. One thing that used to irk me is that you can't skip the verbal tutorials by Kira and Samos, but I literally just thought of disabling the voices and the sound options after playing this game for over 20 years. I have a very big brain. The level, of course, looks beautiful and really welcomes you to this new world, but the design is very linear and short. Again, it's a tutorial level, but it does a great job doing what it's supposed to. Unfortunately, there just isn't a ton to say about this one, because it's literally much smaller than the others in scope, so I'm going to be moving on from here. Up next, the level that I personally visit first after arriving in Sandover Village, the Forbidden Jungle. I love the tone shift from the silly, upbeat, and relaxing music of Sandover Village to the very eerie, unsettling music of Forbidden Jungle. One thing about the Jak and Daxter soundtrack that is readily apparent is that it plays much more on ambience, vibe, and immersion, rather than melody and catchiness. There's definitely a tense vibe among entry in this level. The first thing I usually do here is talk to the fisherman, who is a likable enough character.
You think you can do better?
Nah man, I'm just saying, Jesus. All the NPCs in this game are very expressive in their delivery and animation, but the following game, Jak 2, would really improve on character interactions. This mission is a decent enough side game that is certainly nothing too riveting, but it's engaging enough to remain fun. After completing this task, the fisherman offers to let you use his boat to get to Misty Island, showing that actions in one level can affect different aspects of the game throughout. This level, like many others, has a very sandbox type style, freeing you to explore wherever you decide to go, essentially. This is especially true with the main attraction of this level, the large tower that sits in the center. You access it by assembling a bridge charged with blue eco, leaving you free to scale it. The fact that you can go inside of this thing is a really ambitious set piece and makes this world feel so immersive. Brilliant game design. Also, the view of the lovely vistas from the top of this thing shows the realness of this world by example. Once inside, you come across a blue eco silo that activates blue eco vents throughout the game. This is such an important level that makes the world building of this game seamless. More on that later. After we activate the vents, we can access a second corridor where we face off with this weird looking dude. Admittedly a ridiculously easy boss fight, but I don't believe the intention of the boss was meant to be challenging. It seems like more of a way to make this level feel more alive, because when returning to the surface, you realize that all of those tentacle things sticking out of the ground were being controlled by the man-eating plant we had just slain down below. This blew my mind as a child. Adding on to even more world building, when you direct the blue eco beam from its source to Sandover, it powers the village, ensuring this beautiful man's re-election.
Oh, what a wonderful sight!
Hell, I'd vote for him. He seems like such a decent man. I mean, there's only like 4 other people to choose from, so there's not really any competition, but hey, look at that mustache. You can always trust a man with a mustache. That's just science. The level design here is a goddamn showcase of the new Sony hardware and a marvel of its time. I already know this one is top tier. Alright, where do I even start with this one? I'm sure that unlike myself, most people that aren't veterans of this game would enter this level first. The transition from Sandover to Sentinel Beach is so seamless. You're just like derp-a-der walking along and oh shit, I'm in a new level. Mind blow. I'm always conflicted about which way to go upon entry, much like most of the levels in this game. But let's take a walk along the beach, shall we? Well, just beware of the Hershey Kiss bombs being shot at you from above. There's a power cell along the coast that seems up for grabs, but then this bastard-ass pelican gobbles it up. You have the option to punch the bird, making him projectile vomit the power cell, leaving you to race for it, or you could do what I've been doing for quite some time now. You'll see what I mean. Remember those blue eco vents we activated in Forbidden Jungle? Well, now we can scale up to the outlook where these asshole lurkers in the cannon lie using the booster pads. After killing them, we can use the cannon ourselves to break the precursor boxes open down below. We also had the option of luring the bombs to us when on the ground, but I usually opt for this method. It's faster and more cathartic. Oh yeah, by the way, we can obliterate the aforementioned bird with the cannon. Also faster and more cathartic. When my childhood brain put 2 and 2 together and figured that out, I was absolutely fucking mind blown that it works. What else to discuss? Ah yes, in the farthest corners of the area, there are these structures of some sort with some stairs to climb, where some more collectibles are waiting for us to gather. When wait, what's going on? I don't even know how birds would cause that to happen, but how cool is that? I wasn't even trying to make progress in the game and then boom! We unlocked access to the cliff area where the Flut bird is waiting for rescue. Although I don't really understand how kicking a gigantic egg off of a cliff is really helpful. Hey Eric, it's a video game, relax. And yeah, the bird lady is a character, and oh yeah, I forgot to mention the music in this level. It might be one of the best in the game, in my opinion. It's so soothing and ambient and kinda makes me want to jam out. There are some cool set pieces like diving for orbs, punching up these pillars to access some ledges and whatnot. Just a fantastic level, and it makes me sad when I need to leave, but the journey must continue. Going from a nice, sunny, serene, chill vibe to a cliché, but effective spooky and eerie level, we enter Misty Island. This level is actually our introduction to the series, where we get a tease of the main baddies of the game, and where Daxter turns from a not-so-beautiful human into the titular furball we all know and love. This level does the spooky theme exquisitely, with the music having these creepy instrumentals and almost an animalistic hooting in the background, illustrating that it's our first real sense of challenge in the game. At least in my opinion. I mean, yeah, nothing in this game is particularly challenging, but I'm speaking relatively. It's here that we're introduced to Red Eco. Although it's neat that Jak gets a boost in his power with attacks, it's probably the least impressive eco power, as most enemies can be taken out with 1 or 2 hits. I have noticed that it does make your attack hitbox increase slightly, so it does end up feeling fairly satisfying. Upon entry, if you bear right, you'll be met with plenty of bottomless pits into the fog with terrain crumbling before your feet. knock over some rib bone looking bridges to gain access to the ambush area, although on this playthrough I did remember a speedrunning trick making an unconventional traversal through the area. The ambush is an easy but fun enemy gauntlet that, once completed, reintroduces you to the location that Daxter was originally mutated into an asshole. Asshole. I wonder if they call Daxter an asshole or made him that creature because it kinda sounds like asshole. I don't know why I never noticed that. It probably makes no sense. Anyways, I think it's so cool that you can revisit the areas in which cutscenes took place. It's so immersive, and I know I keep saying this, but it makes the world feel like a real place. Continuing on, we come across my favorite set piece of the level, scaling the rickety scaffolding and avoiding the cylindrical bombs. Once at the top, like in Sentinel Beach, you can use the Hershey Kiss Cannon to blow open some Precursor orb crates down by where you were previously ambushed. I love games that make good use of all three dimensions. For example, below the scaffolding, you are introduced to the first zoomer section of the game, shredding up some lurkers and their mining balloons. Make sure to... Fuck. Make sure to heed Daxter's advice, however.
I said, shred the lurkers, Jak. Not the mines!
Once we hop off the zoomer, we continue to circle around, where we come across the obstacle course, testing your platforming skills to chase after the sculptor's muse. You can also do this entire level, basically in any order that you want, which is a common situation for most of the levels in this game. Everything from the dreary atmosphere to the bones of what I imagine to be some sort of prehistoric giants. This place gets an A+. Love it. Also, for real though, I always forget to return the muse to the sculptor, so by the end of the game I always feel terrible that throughout the whole game, that poor thing is stuffed in Jak's little pack. That thing would absolutely get whiplash and die in like 5 minutes for sure. Like, ah man, poor thing. I often feel unreasonably bad for fictional characters though, so anyways, next level. So at this point, we've traversed Fire Canyon, rolled up to Rock Village, and discover that the Blue Sage has vanished, leaving behind quite the mess. After learning that a massive lurker monster is destroying the place, talking to some NPCs to trigger some missions in Precursor Basin, we enter... Precursor Basin. This level is entirely executed with Kira's Zoomer that we previously used in Misty Island and Fire Canyon. Before I even get started talking about this level, I have to say that I really do not understand the hate that this level gets. There's nothing particularly frustrating here in my opinion, and I think the zoomer handles perfectly well. It's just a personal preference, but I always get super stoked to enter this place. The music here isn't much to write home about, especially because the whole time the zoomer motor eclipses the soundtrack. You can still hear the music if you pay attention or turn the sound effects off, obviously, but to a casual player, you can only hear some vaguely melodic percussion. Honestly, listening to this track in isolation is fairly unfamiliar. Anyways, let's talk about what we actually do in here. First thing I usually try to get out of the way is the least desirable objective, getting the lightning moles in their holes. That rhymes. Get the lightning moles in their holes. I'm sure it's not a controversial thing to say either. It's not painful, however. It only usually takes me a couple minutes. Just probably the least fun thing to do here. Although I think Dax and I have some similar ideas about it.
Let's go get our power cell from the geologist.
A similar mission here is shredding the flying lurkers. This is probably the most challenging thing we do here, but it's the kind of challenge that feels rewarding, you know? I feel a small sense of pride when I outsmart the AI of these guys. The ring course is also respectably challenging because there's no arrow or map pointing in the direction of each ring, making it easy to miss one if you aren't careful. We would later see these rings used a lot more in Jak 2 and 3, and some of those missions are fucking infuriating. That's another video for another day though. Maybe I'll rank every Jak 2 mission soon. That seems like a fun and definitely not incredibly tedious and difficult project that I don't really have time for, but will probably do it anyways because I have severe ADHD and cannot seem to pick a lane and stick with it. No. I gotta try everything and never really be particularly great at one thing. I gotta see if I can make YouTube videos ranking games that 98% of the world don't really think about anymore. Oh man, okay, anyway. Beating the record race time is a task that I beat on my first time every time, but in all fairness, only by the skin of my teeth, maybe 3 seconds give or take. The developers were really smart about making that a 45-second time limit. I love how we get to explore through this old Precursor ruin. Great set piece. Here's a drinking game. Take a shot every time I say the word set piece in this video. Actually don't. If you die of alcohol poisoning, I don't want to be held accountable. Plus, I love you for watching this. Take care of yourselves. Okay, this level's review is kind of all over the place, but I'm being true to the design of the level. Do you see what I did there? The green eco weed killing mission is fun, and when I've one-cycled this in the past, I've gotten very excited. But
maybe it's just because I've got low expectations.
Last thing I'll mention here that I think does not get nearly enough credit is the absolutely dope platforming challenge with the zoomer. That's sick. I never hear anyone talk about how cool this set piece is. Alright, I think that covers this level pretty thoroughly, and so we say goodbye to one of my favorite levels. Good luck to you lightning moles. I hope you guys have a great little life. Lost Precursor City. Okay. This level. This place just... wow. Wow. Where do I even begin to explain how iconic, how revolutionary, how visually interesting, and how much plain fun this level is? The music in this level sucks you into the idea that we are indeed in some sort of underwater mysterious place that has been vacant for a very long time. Well, aside from these bastard blue lurkers, it has these very weird, eerie percussions with disorienting melodies. Although it's incredibly fitting for the level, it's not exactly memorable. I think I'm justified in claiming this level to be our most linear stage in the game. The first room we enter is just a series of floating platforms and timed platform challenges. It usually takes a minute or two to finish this room, and if you're anything like me, you never have a reason to come back to it. I'll explain what I mean shortly. Our second main area is where the level goes from visually interesting to really fun and engaging. This entire level has a bunch of time trials now that I think about it. My favorite is this platforming challenge where you need to scale the side of the walls to get a power cell. Also, these moving platforms controlled by you are fun if you use them to think outside the box. There's also the platforming puzzle where you need to figure out how to get through it only by jumping on each platform once. It's easy as can be, but I love this place so much that I really don't care. And I wonder if maybe it wouldn't be as obvious if I haven't played this game like 100 times at least. My favorite section, and what I can imagine is the most fondly remembered about this level, is the sliding course and what follows it. We all know that sliding in games is always a fun time, and getting all the collectibles on the way down on your first try is satisfying as hell. What makes this infinitely more memorable is the fact that the ceiling is transparent, and the visuals are simply mesmerizing. It's hard to take in the background of this part while you're playing, but upon watching this footage, for the first time I had a true appreciation of how sick this place looked. It's genuinely kind of daunting, but so intriguing. After our first slide, we enter the room with the ancient ruin that we can activate to rise to the surface, but I always wait until I complete the rest of the level to do this. So let's move on to our second slide. Just more of the same, no complaints here. This race against the rising Dark Eco is an excellent climax to cap off this amazing level, and seeing that you've collected all the orbs as you jump onto the launching pad is pure catharsis. Not much to say beyond that, just some really solid platforming and an amazing theme. After we use the launching pad to get ejected all the way back up to the first slide, we return to the ruin and bring it to the surface. I would, no lie, pay money just for the chance to experience this place for the first time once again. What an amazing feat. This is peak level design. Naughty Dog, you fucking legends. Moving on to our favorite toilet bowl, we enter Boggy Swamp. The first thing to say about this level is that it's our introduction to Yellow Eco. I don't know why, but that's weird to me for some reason. Yellow Eco is so integral to this game, so for it to be introduced this late is just a bit of a surprise to me, that's all. I guess it's just never occurred to me before. Another linear stage comparatively to the others, but I like how the stages have unique elements to their design, and don't follow the same format. I love how there are launcher pads scattered throughout, boosting you to locations that you can't access without them. Some of them holding scout flies and some holding precursor orbs and power cells. One of the main gimmicks of this level is this precursor balloon that presides over the location. Once you destroy all 4 anchors, each holding a power cell, Samos informs us that this was a giant, something from a precursor robot. I have no idea what he says. Listen closely.
That was a giant arm from a precursor robot. Giant arm from...
I couldn't find any information on this, and to this day I have no idea what he's saying. Part? Garb? Arm? No idea. Regardless, before you release it, you can see this from so many different vistas all over the game, which I think is just incredible for its time. Speaking of the launching pads, one of them sends you to another ambush area, similarly to Misty Island, and this location, interestingly, is where the main anchor to the balloon is. If you release the balloon before the ambush mission, the anchor will no longer be there. Again, the technology of this game for its time was sensational. Another set piece that I love is this pseudo side-scrolling sequence, something akin to what we will see in a later level, and similarly to something we would later see in the series, for example Mars Tomb in Jak 2. My favorite part of this level for sure though is coming across our main homie Flut, what's up my dude? I wish this guy had his own level because he is so much fun to control. The platforming you do with him in this level is very, very easy and short, and again, that's just upsetting to me because I love this guy. Justice for Flut, y'all. He deserved better. I guess the last thing to discuss is Boggy Billy and the rat shooting mission. Now to be fair, this isn't really that hard, and I can't remember the last time I failed this one, but I think the nostalgic trauma caused by this mission makes me dread this task every time. I think it might be the most challenging mission in the game, but like I've said multiple times, the bar isn't very high, so it might sound like hyperbole. But I don't know, I can't help but get slight anxiety when playing this mission. Boggy Billy is a fun character with some pretty good voice work though.
What's a bathtub?
Probably one of the more memorable NPCs in the game. I must say, I have mixed feelings about this level. I remember dreading it as a child for whatever reason, and find myself enjoying it much more as an adult. Oh yeah, the music. It's probably the least memorable in the game. Just the same repeating minor chord progression and dreary percussion. I know I'm probably repeating myself a lot, but it is what it is. It fits the dank and somber tone pretty perfectly, but just doesn't really stand out as a song very much. I'm actually pretty curious to see where this level fits in the ranking. It's kind of hard to accept that one of them is going to have to be at the bottom, but even in a game where every level is amazing, one of them has to be the least amazing, I suppose. Snowy Mountain. Okay. We collected enough power cells to power the Blue Sage's beam to move the boulders so we can face off with the big monster guy. Hold up, I don't know his name. Ah yes, his name is Claw. So yeah, we kick his ass, race these weird blue lurkers that go through mountain pass so that they don't blow up the entire passage, arrive in Volcanic Crater to find out that the Red Sage has been kidnapped when Gull and Maya, the main baddies teased in the intro, reveal themselves as the official villains. Through this intensely long, unskippable cutscene, Daxter realizes he's fucked, and we head out to continue on our journey. Let's take a ride on the gondola up to the best level in this game. Thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, I'm kidding. My ranking will be as non-subjective as possible, but I will admit, if this was just a list based on my opinion, this level would be first, baby. Let's go. Let's talk about this level. So, I love snow levels. They make me happy. It's so brightly colored and cool looking, even when in Night Cycle. This may not be objectively true, but this level seems to be the most open-ended out of all the areas in the game. You really can do this level in any order you want, and it really doesn't feel like the developers meant for there to be a particular route. In fact, I contacted one of the old developers of the game. Here's what he had to say.
Oh yeah, dude, you're completely right. This is the best level in the game, and yeah, just everything you say about it in the review here is just completely what we intended. Good job, dude, you're the best.
Wow, thank you, anonymous developer with a bizarrely deep voice. I'm inclined to agree with your assessment. I don't know what these buttons are supposed to do or what they're supposed to be, but the ones that are surrounded by ice and cliffs are pretty nerve-wracking. Since we're over here, why don't we cross this bridge? We come across this cave where, oh boy, these bastard-ass wind-up toys are everywhere. Jesus! An interesting feature of Red Eco that's only available in this level, if I'm not mistaken, is that the extended hitbox can blow up crates without the explosion from the crates hitting your damaged hitbox. Interesting. Okay, I can't wait any longer. We're talking about the Yellow Eco Silo. If you're new to this game, you might miss it, but behind this patch of trees is a secret cave area with a fairly challenging platform section due to the obstructions, moving platforms, and ice. Once you reach the end, you're greeted to a similar structure to the one we saw in Forbidden Jungle, opening yellow eco vents across the land. Unfortunately, this isn't nearly as pivotal to the game, mainly because it's literally towards the end of the game, whereas the blue eco vent was at the beginning, but it's still an awesome find and is necessary for gaining access to at least a few collectibles. For example, the hidden orb in Mountain Pass. I wish the dead yellow eco vents were utilized more in this game, but that's just a nitpick. I also love that you can see the silo from above the ice, which is so cool. And as a kid, I remember being so intrigued about that before I actually figured how to get in there. This game really blew my mind as a child, so it's no wonder it's still one of my favorite games to this day. Also, opening the yellow eco vents allows you to break open this box stuck in the walls of this cave. I love it. Oh hey, what's that over there? Oh shit, it's Flood! This platform challenge with the bird is great. It makes this level feel so huge because of the leaps of faith you need to make to get through it. Also, at the end of this sequence, we open the door to the fortress. Up we go to enter the fortress, which is always exciting, but it's also the last time we see Sir Flut. You will be missed, my good friend. I'm happy to know that your species lives on to evolve into leaper lizards. Hopefully. Is that canon? Whatever. Anyways, let's enter the fortress. This place is like its own little level in and of itself. The 3 orb dispensers that you open from collecting the blue eco at the top of the tower and jumping down is just really nice catharsis. Oh shit, I don't think I ever mentioned these. These are just basically Pez dispensers with orbs that are accessed by being charged with blue eco. The perimeter also acts as a fun platforming segment, and it's always exciting to run and jump around the fortress, making sure you've collected all of the orbs and scoutflies. This place is just an awesome set piece. Also, side note, I love these spiky boys. Anyways, lastly, this place contains the most memorable song in the game in my opinion. It's actually got a catchy melody and rhythm that lives rent-free in my head. I won't be shocked to see this level in the top 3. Yo, Spider Caves be like... Yeah, that was pretty close. I did that with my teeth. As one of our final locations, this level is a formidable opponent before our final stretch of game. Where do we even begin with this place? It is gargantuan. The first area we visit is this large open area, the ground having scattered platforms amongst the lake of dark eco. This is the only area in the game, besides the small silo in Misty Island, where the dark eco is actually part of the level design, making traversal slightly more menacing. The support beams of this place keeping the ceiling from crashing down are being gnawed away at by these centipede dudes. Are they lurkers though? They seem to share a similar mouth to their design, but I'm not sure if it's ever made clear if lurkers can be bugs. Charge up with yellow eco and shoot the creepy crawlies twice each to kill them as they circle the cylindrical spires. The means of traversal around the open area include scaling the cliffs and caves along the perimeter, climbing this rickety scaffolding, and using these floating platforms scattered about. I love how there's scaffolding hanging from the ceiling, holding a power cell and one of the 5 dark eco crystals we're meant to destroy. Continuing the objective of blowing up the crystals, let's travel to this right corridor. We're met with a pool of dark eco, with some floating platforms. Aside from the 2 crystals hanging off to the side, this is our entrance to the dark passageway. An interesting mechanic introduced to the game, and only for this one section. It's here that we punch these statuesque crystals to illuminate the path we're meant to take, making for some interesting platforming that tests your skills, because the crystals only stay lit momentarily. I don't know what was happening to my brain here. I died like 7 times trying to get through this. Can you tell I was watching TV while I played this? I'm sorry, okay, but I've beaten this game like 100 times at least, and Always Sunny in Philadelphia is too funny to ignore.
Are you saying that you have a collection of skin luggage?
Of course I'm not, Dee. Don't be ridiculous. Think of the smell. You haven't thought of the smell, you bitch!
I saved the best part of this level for last. If we stick to the ground upon entry and bear left, we follow this cave pathway to what I consider to be one of the coolest set pieces in a game I've ever seen. The Precursor robot that will later be seen to be our final boss is being constructed in this hollowed out environment surrounded by contorted scaffolding, making for some of the best platforming this series ever saw. How can I even describe this? You need to carefully swing around and avoid enemies, making sure you don't miss any collectibles along the way. Getting the power cell at the top is always a rewarding prize for dominating this masterclass of level design. A few more sick set pieces in this area is this pole swinging challenge along the cave walls, and this escape through the spider nest. This is another area where the yellow eco vents you opened in Snowy Mountains comes in handy. This was breathtaking as a child, and to this day is still one of the most entertaining levels I've ever had the fortune of experiencing. There is one more thing to do here though. On the edge of this cliff right above our exit sits a yellow eco vent that we most likely have already used when shooting the centipede boys. Charge up with some of that yellow and race back to the exit to the bastard mine carts of Volcanic Crater, because here there is a hidden power cell in a crate that you can only access by shooting it. Thanks, Naughty Dog, for adding the one power cell keeping me from completing this game as a youngling. After racing through the malicious and scolding lava tubes, we arrive at Gul and Maya's citadel. I remember Kira mentioning that this area with the portal is the Yellow Sage's lab. Doesn't seem like much of a lab to me, but alrighty then. It's here that we learn that our favorite floating sage has been kidnapped, so we set on to free all 4 of our sage friends to stop the Twisted Sisters from opening the massive dark eco silo that would cause certain doom amongst the land, and wow, what a location this is. This place is absolutely massive and completely daunting. This is where our accumulation of skill will be put to its final test. There are 3 platforming pathways to gain access to the challenges which lead to free each sage. The first is another ambush gauntlet featuring these bastard wind-up toy lurkers we saw from Snowy Mountain. It seems like just one last reason to use yellow and red eco. Kill all the critters to open the door to free Santa Claus. I mean, the red sage. This mission is easily the least challenging of the 3. The floating pizza platforming here is honestly much more engaging and involved than the rest of it. Moving on to the next reminds me that I didn't mention these colored platforms. A really neat idea. Step on one color and every other platform of its like will collapse, something we would see called back to in Mars Tomb. It doesn't function exactly the same, but it was still nice to see. Another great way that Jak 2, even with its much different themes, still felt like the same world. This room here is what I would claim to be the most difficult challenge. You need to leap onto small floating platforms with these spinning box structures disorienting you if you're not careful. This conveyor belt section is actually pretty tricky as well, and really tests your timing. But the most pain in the ass thing to do here is make sure there is still enough blue eco left in your meter to open this orb dispenser. Did this part on my first try, baby, what's up? It's here that we free our mechanical genius so that he can actuate the shield door by eliciting a conduit of energy between himself and the vast portal below. Don't know why Daxter has to nerd shame though, the furry little prick. You do you, Blue Man. Maybe just work on a new hat. Okay, last trial. This one is very entertaining, using the launching pads to reach absurd heights, trying to land on the revolving launch pads below. It is easy, if you're not obsessive compulsive like me. The real big boy challenge is collecting every orb in this room on your first go, before your eco meter runs out. Opening this orb dispenser that I think might be the biggest one in the game. I did this first try this time around, baby. Yeah, I was on fire at this point.
I'm gonna give Gul and Maya a little payback for this embarrassment. Then we'll see about cooking up some muskrat stew.
So, we risked our lives to save your ass, and just because you're embarrassed you want to eat Daxter? This is toxic masculinity, folks. Fuck this guy and his trumpet-ass looking eco gun. So, we freed every sage but Samos, giving us access to the upper tier of the Citadel via more platforms. We climb our way to the top of the scaffolding, hop our way across these structures. I really don't know what they're supposed to be, and if you play this game like I do, you're greeted with the absolute most cathartic UI text of all time. All 2,000 orbs. 2,000 out of 2,000, Lord have mercy. After we free Samos, we ride the elevator to the top of this massive tower, face off with the Precursor robot, and discover that light eco does indeed exist.
Light eco, it does exist. They must not be allowed to get it.
We close off yet another lovely playthrough of this beautiful game. Wow, this was so much fun to do, and pretty challenging for sure. The script for this game was much longer than my Spyro review, even though there are less total levels, because there's simply just so much more to talk about here. I really do enjoy doing these videos, and I'm definitely going to make more. Unfortunately, I don't have a ton of time. I work as a full-time landscaper and mason, so my time for this is pretty slim. I also have a death metal band.
When my people look upon these as a
and a progressive death metal solo project. Music being my first love and main passion in life. Having said all of that, I'm going to continue making these ranking videos. I know I don't have a ton of gaming content yet, but I already have a ton of video ideas in mind. Some games I plan on covering soon include Spyro 1, Jak 2 All Missions Ranked, Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko, Simpsons Hit and Run, a ton of Sonic Adventure, and maybe even some Tony Hawk Pro Skater stuff. If you've watched this video to here, I love you and I appreciate you. Please be sure to like and comment on this video and subscribe to this channel. Alright, let's rank these levels. After each ranking, I will give a short explanation for why these levels rank where they do, something I wish I did in my Spyro 2 video. Coming in last at number 10 is Geyser Rock. I know, it was incredibly obvious that this would be last. While I know it's just an intro level and it's meant to be simple and easy, it just doesn't hold a candle to the other levels in this game. Just remember that I don't think any level in this game even approaches bad, so please don't be butthurt about this one. I almost didn't include it in the ranking, but it is functionally a full level, and having 10 levels to rank just feels better to me. In 9th place we have Boggy Swamp. Ah man, I knew I was going to feel bad about the locations being in the bottom of the ranking because I love a lot of what this level brings to the table. And perhaps it's just how dank, dreary, and shit-colored this place is. It just doesn't stand as strong as my heart. I also really do not enjoy Boggy Billy's challenge at all. Like I said, even though it's not that difficult to me nowadays, I still get a sinking feeling whenever I approach it. The course layout is very well done, but there is another equally linear stage that I think does a much better job higher up in the ranking. Sorry, Boggy Swamp. Hate to see you so low, but I still love you. At number 8, we have the Precursor Basin. Ooh, that's a rough hit, Rock Village. You hold 2 of the lowest ranking levels. Again, I feel like I need to make clear that I obviously love this place, but the fact that Jak is such a fun character to control and you don't even use him at all to get through this level brings it down a peg. Its missions are all fairly monotonous, which can be tedious, especially for someone that doesn't enjoy the zoomer quite as much as I do. This level and Boggy Swamp had the same ranking, so I did have to use some personal bias here, and this level slightly gets the edge in my personal taste. Creeping in at 7, we sneak into Misty Island. I was not expecting this level to be so low, especially since the location is so integral to the story and is all around a great time. But that just goes to show how absolutely stacked with quality this game is. The level being focused on introducing Red Eco doesn't help either, even though I will be kind of contradicting myself in a couple minutes. I just think that Red Eco is the worst eco upgrade in the game. The level design is also just not able to compete with what we're going to see moving forward. Having said that, I love this place and enjoy being here every time. Just missing out on the top 5, we have Golan Maya's Citadel at number 6. This place is an absolute experience and is such a crazy spectacle. There are just a few tedious sections that hold it back, and the aesthetic just being a dark void make it slightly lacking compared to the following levels. Still, what an amazing final gauntlet to cap off this journey. At number 5, we have Sentinel Beach. Being our game's intended first level after the tutorial, it's a very relaxing place that almost allows you to turn your brain off and enjoy the sights. It's just a delight to play through, and if there was some slightly more engaging challenge to it, it would rank slightly higher. Although it's hard not to put every level in the number 1 spot, I feel comfortable having this ranked where it is. Diving down into the number 4 spot, just missing out on the bronze medal, we have Lost Precursor City. I know. This is many people's all-time favorite, and I completely understand why. This level is such a unique and creative idea, and it's done so well. The part I think really stands out more than the rest is the second half of the level, and if the entire thing was more like that, I might stick it in the top spot. I can't avoid my personal bias though, and there are still 3 levels that I think cannot be beaten. Climbing downward into our bronze spot of the podium, we have Spider Caves. What can I even say to give this place its rightful praise? It nails just about every aspect of game design. Music, level design, atmosphere. Did I mention level design? I mean shit. Maybe without the Precursor robot platforming section, the Precursor City could have eked its way onto the top 3, but I'm sorry. This level is just too impressive to me to go any lower. Forbidden Jungle takes the silver medal for so many reasons. This level is a true showcase of how interactive this game can be. It has missions in it that open blue eco vents throughout the entire game, gains you access to Misty Island, and solves problems back in Sandover Village. The in-level immersion is well done also. Being able to scale and enter this beautiful tower and fighting the boss that affects these pesky vines on the surface. It's an absolutely mind-blowing showcase of the hardware for its time. And the level to take home the gold rising to the top rank in this game is... Have you been keeping track? Well, there's only 10 levels, so yeah, you're probably well aware that it's Snowy Mountain, baby, oh yeah! I mean, there could be no other placement for this location. I think I've already said everything that needs to be said about it, but this place is so beautiful and immersive with its aesthetic, music, and design that it nearly brings tears of joy to my eyes every time I'm here. It is beyond a perfect level. It is the main reason why winter levels have such a warm place in my heart, maybe next to Crystal Glacier in Spyro 2, and it's one of my favorite locations in a video game ever brought to existence. Alright everybody, that's my list. Hopefully in a short while, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and I love you all.